Hello, everybody. Let's follow up a little bit on the NASA report, on the reports of orbs, and some of the alternative theories out there, some of the reactions I get. I got a good friend named Carl, and he's literally has saved my life. He's a good friend, and so I respect his opinion, not just because of that, also because he's innately a very smart person and a good person, as good as anybody else can be. I'm a good person, I'm a bad person. You all are the same. We have good and bad. But I really do respect his opinion. So I was talking a little bit about how NASA did a self-own on this tape, on this video clip where it shows a metallic sphere about 10 foot wide flying purposefully and very quickly over terrain with no wings, no exhaust, no fins, no cameras, and basically says, well, it's not very anomalous. It doesn't show any anomalous flight characteristics. And I'm like, metallic spheres don't do this. Objects don't do this. And he goes, and it doesn't present a navigation hazard. Mind you, there are no reports of these things using transponders, blinking lights, or any form of communication to air traffic control, saying, hey, we're here, don't hit us. So it does pose a threat to traffic. Even a goose flying into the intake of a jet poses a threat to traffic because it is untracked and undiscovered. And Carl, one of his reactions was, well, it's you can fake anything, you can hoax anything. I just don't trust the government with X, Y, and Z, and because it can be hoaxed, it most likely isn't true. Let's deconstruct this as martial artists. Is it possible for a black belt to be fake, or an instructor to be fake, to lie about their credentials and their experience? Yes. Does that mean that every single instructor out there is fake? No. As a matter of fact, most of them, whatever they claim, most of them are what they claim. Is it possible to cheat in sports? Absolutely. Does that mean every single sports competition, every single time, every single match or game, someone has cheated and that has decided the outcome? No, obviously not. That's even less likely. We could go on and on. I'll give you another example. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There are fake Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts out there. Does that mean that they are fake? No. There are ways to verify this and know this, right? You can roll with them. You can ask who's your instructor and call the instructor. When you encounter something that can be faked in a topic you care about, you don't stop looking just because it can be faked. You don't do that with almost every important thing in your life. And if you do, you suffer from a form of paranoia, which can actually infect and metastasize into your life. It can actually make it extremely difficult for you to enjoy life, participate in life, to relate to other people. If you have a wife or husband, it is possible that your wife and husband is cheating on you, is defrauding you, is lying to you. But because that is possible, do you really want to live your life as if every single time you leave your spouse, they are cheating on you, and every single time you ask them if they did or did not do something, they are lying to you? No, you don't. You vet, you ask, you look. Hopefully before you got in any relationship, a sexual or romantic relationship with someone, you kind of went through a process and you just discovered what that person is about, right? And also, yes, caution is good. Without caution, you're naive, and naivete can produce disaster. Guess what? Paranoia can produce even greater disasters, but on a longer time scale. All right? So the whole idea, I have a journalistic background. I have been educated in journalism. I have done journalism. I have participated in periodicals. I have sold professional work. And I've got this YouTube channel, and this is a form of journalism. And you are taught how to investigate, how to ask, why to investigate something and not something else. Why do you investigate UFOs versus medicine, right? We all have our reasons. Once we establish what we want to investigate and why it is important, whether emotionally or materially, to investigate something, we establish protocols. We start asking questions. We look for things like consilience. What is consilience? It's a form of convergence where multiple sources, multiple streams of data, multiple people, multiple fields of science begin to confirm something. Okay, begin to converge on something. For example, we have something called the scientific consensus, right? That's a form of consilience that does, in fact, lend credibility to something, but oftentimes it becomes an orthodoxy and we stop questioning, and then within the data, we see other consiliences that can contradict or modify the existing consensus. And so what we say is consilience is important, but it also has to be congruent with data, and we do not find out data until we look. There is a saying in science, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Honestly, it's a bit of a misnomer because claims require evidence. In science, we look for statistical significance, we look for convergence, we look for consilience. In journalism, we look for the reliability of witnesses, the number of witnesses, hard evidence, records, so on and so forth, right? And once a thing is statistically significant, once a thing is reliable, it is reliable. We don't want to go so far with that idea that something produces robust data and we just move the goalposts and say it is not robust enough, even though it would be robust enough for anything else. It's not robust enough because I have feelings about this topic that make me not want to accept it. Or it's the same if you accept data that is weak, that does not have consilience, that does not have more than one reliable source, or it has several sources that are all unreliable. We look for biases, we look for financial incentives, we look at all of these things. All right? And now Carl does this. I check myself doing this. I try not to do this. And some people are really into this. Sometimes when you're talking to someone, or just imagine, this is a hypothetical person talking about a hypothetical topic in a hypothetical paragraph, okay? They'll say something like, well, I don't know about that because that could easily be something arranged, via the media, by the globalists who, okay, first of all, do you see there are dog whistles in there? There are clusters of dog whistles, and some of these dog whistles can be mutually exclusive. I'll give you an example. If I say something like, well, the media wants this. The media. When I say that, it sounds like all media everywhere on the entire planet are in a vast, organized, lockstep conspiracy, when the truth is the media outlets, of which there are many, are often at contention with each other. Many times they're competing with each other, and sometimes they're actually trying to actively wipe each other out and take each other's customer base, right? There is no the media. So if you ever find a sentence or a paragraph that says, well, that's what the media wants you to believe, there is no the media. There are medias, okay? Then if someone says the globalists, it is a very undefined term, globalists, right? Again, it makes it seem like there's a cluster of people, a very small cluster of people, sitting, behind the scenes, Svengali-like, orchestrating the entire world and controlling. And if you ever listen to so-called globalist plots of the many conspiracy theories out there, apparently, if you were to believe all these and believe that that's all one group, you would think that there, for example, the COVID deniers, right? Let's call them COVID conspiracists, right? We'll say, well, the government. If you look at all of the governments that have instituted a form of quarantine or have some of them not even mandate the vaccine, but promoted it and said, hey, this is a solution to this problem that is killing our citizens. You would think that one or two globalists control the state of Israel and the state of Egypt, both of which have quarantines, India and Pakistan, which are all, there are countries that have been at war with each other, that are at odds with each other, that contest with each other significantly in almost all ways. But yet somehow this external group is getting them all to immediately obey. Okay? That's nonsense. There are people who have global interests. Guess what? I was in the military. If you were in the United States military and you served in Iraq or Afghanistan, according to those people, you are the globalists. You are foreigners that came to their country to oftentimes impose aspects of U.S. foreign policy. And some of them detest it so much they're willing to blow themselves up to stop you or fight you for decades. All right? Whilst at the same time, they're like, well, the terrorists were all enabled by the globalists, right? So, again, if there is a single person or just a couple of families capable of imposing that much order and stopping all these conflicts, it's almost like an argument for keeping them in power, giving them overt power. I'm not saying that. There are people with global interests that many of them are at odds with each other, okay? And they have shifting priorities, right? You could say that the Walmart Corporation is definitely has a globalist and global reach and pull. They buy things from China, and I've seen stuff in the aisles from Croatia and Serbia, and of course stuff from the USA, right? You could definitely say Honda. Honda sells cars all over the world, right? And Chrysler sells cars from all over the world. Yet, they're not necessarily in competition with each other. I mean, in coalition and cooperation with each other, because there is definitely competition for market share, okay, and so on and so forth. And also, you also have to do things like look at numbers and costs and things like that. For example, there was a relative of a friend that put up a Facebook post, and once I saw this, I'm like, I'm going to stop following her because this is dangerously stupid and ill thought out. She posted some kind of meme that said that almost all the grocery products, the canned goods and the bagged goods and dry goods, had tissue from aborted fetuses. Okay, and it cited like several brand names. Again, many of these are competing for market share. They're not in cooperation with each other. You have to understand that that type of material, okay, from aborted fetuses is considered a biohazard. There are many regulations controlling it, and it does pose a hazard to people processing it. I mean, it's organic tissue. It could just rot and cause disease, right? And you would have to posit that all of these food companies together or directed by a Svengali-like figure are, surreptitiously working with every single hospital and medical facility that has this to not only take the material, but also create false records of them not taking the material, create false records of it being disposed. It would be such an incredibly costly event that if this were true, a can of peas, a can of baby food, or a can of soup would cost $50. Okay? Crunch the numbers for crying out loud, people. Crunch the numbers and do a little bit of logic, right? I think the problem is very intelligent people who really want to be informed. What happens is if you accept false information as a foundational part of your worldview and cosmology, other things begin to cluster around it. For example, there are people that were lied to as a child and told that, I met a young lady once whose father told him that, all men she meets actually want to kill and torture her. I guess it was a way of controlling her, right? And she got out of the house and went into university and everything and began to suspect this wasn't true, but it poisoned every relationship she had with any male, including just a casual platonic a relationship where you occasionally talk to someone in a common area, at a certain time of the week because of your class schedule, right? And very intelligent girl. But, one thing can compound and create a basis for other false beliefs, right? This is why I think techniques of investigative journalism, critical thinking, things like that, they need to be applied. And, yes, of course, we all make mistakes. We all have this. I have this. I'm just saying that we need, if we're going to investigate a controversial topic like UFO, UAPs, we need to not step reflexively into the extreme of I must accept everything on this topic, or I must not accept anything on this topic and not even look at the data. I just assume it's all polluted. Especially if you have decided this is something you want to know about, you want to form a strong opinion about, and you want to advocate for or against. You owe it to yourself, to your true self, your need for integrity, right, to actually look at the aspects and try some form of objectivity, okay? Because life, in order to live life and continue living life and enjoy your life and even just, get through tough spots, you actually need a little bit of unreasonable optimism, okay? You need what I call combat optimism, where you do have caution, you do have preparation, but you don't walk around constantly with your armor on and your sword out ready to stab anything moving at you. You have to have an optimism that acts like a compass, a lodestone, and your magnetic north should be not only truth, but those portions of truth that will increase your net health, happiness, well-being, security, your relationships, right? Is this easy? No. I mean, health isn't easy, right? Just being healthy, especially as you get older. You have to do certain things, you have to forego certain things, and you have to actively go for certain things, okay? This topic happens to be important to me for multiple reasons, let's just say, and therefore I have to look at it from multiple angles. And that is why I think the recent data, the whistleblower data, the consilience and confluence of multiple whistleblowers and its relationship to past disclosures, some of them going all the way back to the 40s, establishes patterns. I am not saying that I think this is alien activity. I think it's very anomalous techno-signatures, and it's very significant to national security, to air safety, to scientific progress, and is important to look at. There's going to be more to follow.